it's very interesting that we have 10,000, up to 10,000 different species of a bacteria inside us, on our skin, in our hair, everywhere. And we drag these 10,000 species around with us everywhere we go. And we have this attitude of destroying biodiversity instead of conserving it. So if you grab a handful of soil and you put this under the microscope, there's also 10,000 different species of microorganisms and fungi and everything else you can imagine inside this soil. So, what is with this biodiversity? Why is it so incredibly diverse? Which sounds a bit funny, but it's actually, in my opinion, exaggerated. What is this exaggeration about? Well, the exaggeration is what keeps everything alive. Without this biodiversity, you wouldn't have functionality. Certain bacteria that live inside us digest our food for us. Whatever it may be, all these bacteria and all these fungi and everything that is working in our advantage symbiotically is not being respected by us. We don't have even the understanding of who or what they are. To make matters even more interesting, the organisms that live inside us aren't of human origin. They are foreign bodies that live inside our body. So why is it that we have this real objective to destroy with force, with knowledge, with energy, to destroy biodiversity on this planet? It's a very unusual form of destroying something that is actually helping us. And I think the understanding is, unfortunately, everything biodiverse, the majority of everything, is even hard to see under electronic microscopes. So it's sort of like this saying is, what you don't see doesn't bother you, you don't care about it, it doesn't matter. But the problem is, even if you can't see it, it is working, it is functioning, it is contributing to the entire process of biodiversity. And we have this real perception that it has to be of an advantage to us. We have to make money off of it. We have to be able to control it. The list goes on. And humans have to sort of say to themselves, okay, if I still want to be alive in 2050, I think the world has to do a switch over where they say to themselves, okay, we need to help biodiversity. We need to promote it. We need to make sure that nothing gets removed from this planet. This idea of something being gone once, that it can never come back, is actually very true. Looking after nature, helping it along, covering the earth with vegetation so everything else can come in behind and grow through it. All those things should be the focus of the human race, not this me, what's in it for me, how can I make lettuce grow without spending any money, or how can I do it inside a laboratory or a sterile institution. All those things shouldn't be our focus. Our focus should be, okay, how can we create biodiversity? How can we use nature in such a way that it will do its job, and all we do is we go, here's a nudge, here's some ground cover on the ground, here's some better soil on top of this soil, here's some seeds, here's some energy, some manure, whatever it is. And if humans start to do that and say, look, we need to create these biospheres that help the planet, we can't be destroying anymore. And nature has this really unusual ability, and it's ignored too much. It's like, we have to understand that nature doesn't need us. Nature is only being destroyed by us. Nature has 100 times the energy we have. Nature has an understanding that we don't even have a clue of how it actually works, how this biodiversity is incredibly powerful as a group. This garden here, I'm working on those principles. I'm basically understanding a lot more now that this biodiverse atmosphere is unbeatable. And you know, it starts, let's do an example. So it starts like this. So you have a layer of plants, you have soil underneath it. Now in this 1 square meter, I have 50 different varieties of plants or species. And these 50 plants are sending sugars and proteins into the ground. The diversity of the plants creates a diversity of sugars and proteins. These plants will contribute very different materials for fungi and bacteria to consume. So the more diverse a square meter of plants are, the better or the more diverse the soil is going to be. And you can apply that same visual to anything. So let's say you have a person that lives in the slums of Calcutta, and you have a person that lives in a sterile apartment in New York. Who do you think has a better set of bacteria living on them and in them? It's obviously the person in Calcutta that is not living sterile, that actually goes outside, that doesn't go from air conditioning to air conditioning. That person will have a very different, a different biodiversity inside their body. So restoring, maintaining, and keeping biodiversity going is going to have very, very strong benefits for the human race. If we lose more and more biodiversity, I think humans are even going to become sterile, and it can go very fast. If a human being isn't healthy because they're not eating biodiverse, rich food with lots of nutrients in it, their fertility is going to drop. And those are just a few, that's just one example of how this biodiversity keeps us healthy, keeps the planet healthy, keeps everything moving forward. And that forward movement is actually turned into a backwards movement. Stripping forests, mining aggressively, these really bizarre agricultural processes. Our soils being so tired from this really intense fertilization and pesticides and fungicides. Our planet can't be tired because we need it to move forward. A tired planet means that the diversity is actually being killed off. That's what tired really is the fact that the diversity is not being used to the land's advantage or the pack of wolves advantage. So, this promotion of building a garden, attracting all kinds of lizards, insects, birds bringing seeds in, birds having droppings in the garden, this entire interaction and, this biodiversity of plants where the plants themselves are so different from each other that they're actually helping in many ways, in many different ways. And it's this circle that we need to really focus on and really promote it a lot more.